Hello, Greet, and welcome to the Your Turn podcast, where we talk about pivots in career, in health of people, and much more. And I'm very excited to welcome you in the podcast. So we have a lot of talk about. You have a very interesting profile. So maybe make a short introduction for yourself for the audience.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure and an honor to be on the podcast. So thank you very much. I'm Greet Bunnens, and my clients call me not your typical business coach, meaning that I am a business coach, but I do not like to walk on these paths that everybody's taking. So that's what I do professionally, helping entrepreneurs build their personal brand, grow as a person, grow with their business. And besides that, I have two dogs here next to me. I have one wonderful husband. I like a good glass of wine, a good book, and a good conversation. So that's in 2-3 words who I am.
And a lot of very interesting things, especially for me, the wine. So tell me a bit more about the wine. What's your favorite one?
Well, I'm actually more like a white wine drinker, but we recently, a couple of years ago, we bought a little house in the Provence, and we live next to lots of vineyards. So I go walk. I do lots of walks with my dogs, and I see a lot of vineyards. And in the Provence, okay, you've got all sorts of wines. But I must say that I I'm starting to appreciate the rosé wine more and more from the area where we have our little house there. So today I must say, okay, it's not like you can compare it to the big wines. But I must say that I really do appreciate my rosé wine in the sun in the Provence. So yeah.
A lot of it also has to do with the experience, with whom you're drinking it, the setting. Yeah.
It's a dream come true, and that makes it so special. So every time when I'm there on a little terrace in the sun, drinking my glass of rosé wine, it tastes so good. Yeah,
and the terrace is basically part of where we will talk about later. But there is a bunch of steps before this, right? Because you were not on the terrace in France immediately. There is inside of this. Okay, you can work wherever you want. So you made a few decisions that. Might be gut feelings, might be strategic decisions. So let us go maybe in the beginning. At the start of your career, you had a very interesting career, and then suddenly you decided to move into the entrepreneurship. So tell us about this.
Yeah, so I'm a commercial engineer and a master's in commercial engineer. I don't know how you say that in English. It doesn't really exist. It's economics and a lot of stuff. And when you finish those studies, you can you know a lot about. Actually, you know a lot of things and you don't know anything. So it's a very broad range of topics that you get to learn during those studies. But there was one topic I did not know anything about, and that was IT. And I thought, okay, that's a booming business, that's important. I should learn more about IT. Why not look for a job in IT? And so I started my career in IT, but I immediately found out that it was not really my cup of tea. But when I was working in that company, it was CSC Computer Sciences Corporation. I had the opportunity to work in training, and I gave training actually on a new system that we were developing for a big company, Belgacom, back in the day. And I started in training, and that's how I evolved in human resources. So I did not stay too long with that IT company because it was really not my cup of tea. But I decided, okay, I was thinking, okay, what is it that I want? And I wanted to do something with people. I wanted to have a moving job. I didn't want to have a desk job. And so I applied for a sales function. But the people who were interviewing me, they said, well, why not stay in our company? And it was a small recruitment firm. And so I started in recruitment. Later on, I became an interim manager, a human resources interim manager in different companies. So I did different projects in HR in different companies in Belgium, but also abroad, in mainly the bigger companies. And it was really it was lots of interesting companies, interesting projects that I was able to do, mainly focused on reorganizations. And then after about 10 years, I had that feeling, been there, seen that, done that. I had great opportunities. I had the opportunity to learn a lot in different companies, but I kind of had that feeling, okay, been there, seen and done that. And so I decided to become an entrepreneur back, and that's about, I think it's about 12 years ago. Yeah, I think 13 years ago. And I started a company with a friend of mine in interim management, HR interim management. So instead of doing the assignments myself, I said, okay, why not look for the perfect freelancer to do the assignments? So when a client is calling me, no, I'm not available anymore, but I'm going to find you the perfect freelancer. And that's how we started the first company in human resources interim management together with a friend of mine. And that's what I did during a couple of years. And when I was working with these people, these freelance interim managers, I noticed that lots of them were very good at their job, at what they were doing, but they had difficulties standing out from the competition, attracting their own clients, and selling themselves, if you can say that. And so I started giving some more tips and tricks on unique selling proposition, LinkedIn profiles, how do you stand out, what's your story, those kinds of things. And that one thing led to another, and that led to actually a second company, Brand Builder, which was really focused on personal branding. So I started that second company to help entrepreneurs. Yeah.
And what year are we talking about this? Because now, like, employer branding, personal branding is only now, or the last maybe say 2-3 years really coming up. So when did you start with this?
That was in 2014.
Okay, wow.
And indeed, back in the day, people were saying personal what? What are you talking about? And then I had to explain, okay, personal branding is the process of becoming the expert in your field, or being seen as the expert in your field. And people didn't, especially here in Belgium, they thought, well, it's not important. I don't need it. I don't like it. So it was. I was kind of. I was an early bird back in the day here in Belgium on personal branding. But anyway, that was my second company. A little bit later, I decided.
Did you do that? That second company now with somebody else, or was it your own company?
That was my own company. And I decided then after a little while that I wanted to stop with the HR company. So I stopped that because my heart was really in the entrepreneur business, in the personal brand business. I'm sorry. And then the next step was I was working with these freelancers on their personal brand, but you cannot work with an entrepreneur or a freelancer only on their personal brand or their personal growth. You also talk about their business, how they see their business, etc. So I said, okay, maybe I should start another venture, and another adventure, maybe more focused on the business growth, not only personal branding, but also business growth. And that's when I started my third company, and that was with a friend again, and that was the Business Boost events. So we organized 2 days events almost for free. It was focused on it was targeted to the small entrepreneurs and to help them grow their business with the focus on marketing, sales, branding, business models, time management, mindset, those kinds of things. No longer HR, not the finance side. And it was really focused on the small entrepreneurs. How can we, as a small company, one-man show, or maybe a small company, grow and attract more clients, improve our branding and marketing, etc. So that was my third adventure, the Business Boost events. Yeah. Yeah.
I dropped my pencil. And if you look at the decisions, you say if you follow your heart, what is for you, like if you make a decision for you, it was a heart decision, or it with the heart, or it was a business decision?
Well, the most important decisions in my life, I always took them with my gut or my heart. Mm-hmm. And I think actually most people make those decisions on that basis, but later on they try to make some lists, and the brain starts working. But the most important decisions for me, whether it was personal or it was in business, I took them really with a gut feeling. I didn't think too much about it. And I must say that afterwards, I often said, oh my God, how was I able to just make that decision, go through with it, face the fear and do it anyway? When you look back, sometimes you ask yourself, oh my God, did I just do that? I must say that the most important, even in business, the most important decisions I make is with my gut feeling. Is that the best thing to do? I don't know, but it's how I do it.
And before we go, what you're doing now, it seems to me that you're, first of all, very busy, and as you just said yourself, you didn't take time. But then when you look back, hey, what did I do? How did you make sure that whatever you were doing was well integrated with each other? And did you have moments that you stand still to strategically align, okay, this is where we are, this is where we want to go? So tell us a bit more about this.
Yeah, of course I do. I do that, and especially in the beginning of every year, I want to see, okay, where do I want to go for the next year? What are my plans, etc. But life has taught me that you can make lots of plans, but life almost never goes how you planned. It's good to have goals and plans, but you should not be too focused on the plans either. So it's good to have, okay, I would like to go there, but keep your eyes and ears open for other opportunities and don't be too rigid. I don't believe that in the straight line goal and plan setting. I think if you're too rigid, you might miss a lot of other interesting opportunities in life. That's why I also always say with my clients, when we start working together, I see it as driving a rally, and we're in the car together. We want to go somewhere. You're the pilot, I'm the co-pilot. Sometimes we will trade places when you're tired or whatever. So, and we have of course a goal where we want to go, but sometimes we will make a detour when it feels better, or when we think it's better. Sometimes we will make a stop to enjoy the view and have our glass of wine. But the aim is there, of course. But I think if you go too straight line, as I said, I've seen too many people being too focused on their goal and their plan, and they do not enjoy the ride, they do not enjoy the view, and they miss a lot of there is a possibility that they miss a lot of opportunities. They're solely focused on that objective and that plan, and that's, I think it's dangerous to be too too focused on your plan, especially the plan and the goal, because life does not go how we planned. I mean, the Corona times have shown that, and that's why I think it's, as an entrepreneur, it's very important that we are resilient and resourceful, and that we use these two, that we have these two in our backpack when we go towards our goals.
Yeah, and there are a few very interesting things that said. So, on the one hand, so looking out for opportunities. So, how do you prevent, and your clients as well, that they will take on too many when they see too many opportunities? Like, for example, I am an idea person, have hundreds of ideas. If I find 100 people with similar ideas, I really have to hold back. And if you pull yourself into too many directions, then you don't even are on a journey, you just stand still. So how do you find the balance in this?
It's important to, and that's an important one. I think it's really important, and it's something that I had to learn because I'm very action and result oriented. You have to take the time to stand still and go slower once in a while. And when an opportunity crosses your path, even if it is interesting or when it's not interesting, okay, just get rid of it. But when it's interesting, you have to really be very careful to whether you're going to say yes to it now or maybe yes later. And if the yes later is if you lose the opportunity, yeah, well then maybe so be it. Maybe then it wasn't meant to be. But you cannot say yes to everything. That's very clear. So it's and for me it's very important that you feel, is this the right opportunity for me, and will it fit in my lifestyle, if to say so. I used to be more. I used to have a more rational approach with my lists, and so I had this way of making a list of what is important in my life, what are my key values, and what are the key things in my life. Like, for instance, and if you have two opportunities or one opportunity, okay. For instance, what will it bring me in the short term? What's the return on investment short term? What's the return on investment long term? How will it affect my private life, positively or negatively? Is it congruent with my values? And so I had a list of 6 or 7 metrics, and then every opportunity that I had, I was gonna look at that list and say, okay, and especially when there's 2 or maybe 3 opportunities that sound good, and you have to choose because you can't choose everything. And then I had this list, and then I gave points. Okay, 2 here, 3 there, and then at the end you have, okay, I've got opportunity 1, and I have a score of 5. Opportunity 2 is a score of 10, and opportunity 3 is a score of 9. And then I made my decision. I don't do that anymore. It's really gut feeling today, but it might help some people who prefer working with lists.
And how do you train or coach your customers in this? If you have like engineers that might be very analytical. And in my experience as well, when you have been very analytical for a very long period, it is at least a challenge to listen to your heart, listen to your gut feel. How do you start with this?
Well, it's actually also been a process that I've been through myself. My father is a doctor, and my mother is a master in mathematics and IT. So I have I studied mathematics myself in how to say that, it's not high school, high school, and then later handelsingenieur, engineering. Yeah. So I have also more like the left brain part of me. Yeah. So when I meet engineers or the more like the left-brained kind of people, I know how they feel and how they think. Well, not everybody, of course, but I know the feeling that we like to have our lists, etc. And but I've been through it myself, and so I can explain how I did it, what I did to learn how to listen more to my gut feeling and my heart, because everybody can do that. It's just that we are brought up and that we have a preference for listening and to our brain and acting with our rational brain. But everybody has that gut feeling and heart and that heart feeling, if you can say it. It's just that we do not focus on it. And if you want to work with more with your feelings, you have to take the time and start becoming aware of your feelings, literally. Where do I feel anxiety? Where do I feel fear? Where do I feel the joy? Where do I feel sadness in my body? And it's really the body that will tell you a lot of things. And then gradually you learn how to become aware of the physical feeling, and then learn to learn to connect other feelings to it. But it's a gradual process, and it's something that you have to learn, take time, become aware. But the first step is really listening to your body, becoming aware to what your body is telling you. That's the first step.
Yeah, and at the same time, if I look at myself, right, so I'm all about sales. I'm analytical. At the same time, I'm creative. I'm very passionate about food. If I would be an entrepreneur and I would like to have ventures in all these things, then again, I might stand still. So how do you, besides the feeling side, how do you help your entrepreneurs that they still advance and make somehow a wise selection? Because in my case, I don't think it would be wise to go fully after a sales coaching than being a part-time cook. So how do you help your customers with this?
But so first, I would like to know, why wouldn't it be a good idea for you to become a cook and a sales coach?
Well, I think if you're in a certain community, you can benefit and serve the people in the most efficient way by building an ecosystem around your core knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And in that sense, if you look at the offerings of entrepreneurs in general, they probably also have a core offering rather than having several ventures in different sectors.
Yeah, it's clear that if you have a niche and if you have, if for instance you say, okay, I'm going to really focus on sales, coaching, consulting, training, and my target audience are the companies, I don't know, between 50 and 500 employees. And I want to do this kind of consulting. So you have a very small niche.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to do your branding. That's clear. If that feels right to you, if you say, okay, I'm going to be so happy, I'm going to be fulfilled, if I can really focus on that niche, then good for you. I mean, it's great if you have found your niche and you can really focus on that. So that's what I try to do with my clients too. We try to find that niche. However, I have the tendency to attract a lot of entrepreneurs with different fields of interest. Mm-hmm. And how is it called again? I think it has a name. Multi-potentialist, I think it is called. Okay. Yeah. So these multi-potentialists have lots of interests, and they do not want to focus on one particular niche. The difficulty there is, if you want to build a personal brand and a business in different niches, you're making it difficult for yourself. However, if focusing on one small niche makes you sad, doesn't make you fulfilled, drains your energy, then you shouldn't do that either. So I used to be very focused on have that one small niche, and that's the way to go. But if that is not the right fit for you, then we have to try to find the golden thread in the different businesses. So if, for instance, you are a cook and a sales coach, then we have to find that golden thread in the marketing and branding. For example, when I was still when I had my two companies, HR company, HR interim management, and the personal branding company, that was two companies. And what I said was, well, I'm helping entrepreneurs, freelancers, HR freelancers, in finding their ideal HR missions, HR opportunities, HR assignments. And on one hand, I do it via the HR company. So I'm going to find you the right opportunity, the right assignment. And on the other hand, I'm going to teach you how to brand yourself, build your personal brand for you to attract the clients yourself, and you don't need me in that first company anymore. So I try to find that golden thread there, and maybe that's not the answer that you're looking for, but I meet a lot of people who have these different interests, who want to pursue careers in those different areas, and the idea then is to really look for what's the combination and what's my signature story then? How can I combine everything in one brand that's not way out there?
And I was not looking for a specific answer, and I'm now looking at like people that are micro entrepreneurs that have different small businesses, and they're perfectly happy. And the advantage there is that if you don't put all your eggs in one basket, if one of them would not work out, you still have the others where you can really be fulfilled. So I'm not really looking at the one specific answer. I'm really interested in how you look at it. What is your systematic around it? So we have been speaking a bit more about your being another typical coach, and before you went into becoming that not typical coach, you made a decision to have a different approach. So how did you go about this when before you joined your typical coach journey?
Well, it's actually it's something that evolved organically. The thing is that when I was working on the concept of the Business Boost events together with my friend and business partner, I started to notice that what we were saying to our clients, that it was not congruent with what I believed in, that it was it was not what I believed in. It's not something that I feel is up to date, if I can say so. So I started seeing things with a different perspective. So when we said, for instance, you have to have a niche, I said, well, is that so? And I don't have to do anything. In Dutch, I say, is that so? And ik moet just niks. So, or when we were saying, you have to have a website, or you have to be present on social media if you want to succeed in as an entrepreneur. Those kinds of things. And I started to see that for a lot of people, that is correct. It's the best practices. However, for a lot of people, it is not. and everybody is unique. So how can we pretend to know all the answers for every unique individual, for every unique entrepreneur? It is impossible to have one-size-fits-all formula for sales. It's impossible to have one magic formula for social media marketing, for instance. That's not possible. Everybody's unique, and your marketing should be unique because you are, and your sales approach should be unique, etc. Mm-hmm. So that's and that's why I started to see, okay, maybe we can help 75% of the people with the best practices, but lots of people are left behind, because these are the weirdos, the rebels, the multi-potentialists, etc. And I'm a weirdo, rebel, and a multi-potentialist. Maybe that's the group I want to help, and that's why I decided, okay, I'm going to step away from the typical one-size-fits-all formulas and work with those rebels. To find their unique approaches. And that's why people call me not your typical business coach, because if you want to, I can tell you what the best practices are, and I've practiced them, and they work in lots of cases, but sometimes they don't. And if you don't want those, or if when you feel that those best practices do not work for you, well, okay, then we're going to find something else. Or I'm going to help you find your approach, because I don't have the answers. You have the answers. You have all the answers inside you. I'm just going to help you find the answers. And with my experience, etc., I can give some hints and advice, etc. But it remains your decision and your approach and your marketing or branding or whatever that really suits you. Yeah. Is that an answer to your question?
When somebody... yeah, of course. And when somebody comes to you and says, listen, I would like to work with you, how do you start a journey like this?
So it's important that I have, first of all, I really want to, so we have an intake. I suppose that it's like, yeah, it's an intake. That's a very important thing, because I do not want to work with everybody. And I do not mean that in a way that I don't want to work with everybody. That's not what I mean. I want to work with the people who are a right fit for me, and I want to make sure that I'm the right fit for them too. And how do we see that? Well, for instance, for me, it's very important that I know the person. Okay, you can't really get to know the person in 1 hour, but I really want to listen to their story, where they want to go, what is their mission, their why, what do they want to do in life, and what are their values? Those are very important things that I want to know, because I really like to work with people who have values that I can live with, to say so, and I also want to work with people who want to do good in the world. Want to earn a lot of money, but want to do good in the world. Want to make this world a better place. Want to leave something for the next 7 generations. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that we have to be the hippie kind of people. I think we have to combine. I like to combine a little bit the feeling and the hippie stuff together with the alpha driven entrepreneur stuff. Find out the best of both worlds.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Yeah.
So that's for me important. That's how we start. Get to know each other. Get to know the real person. And then we start our rally. We define, okay, where do you want to go, how we will approach it, and then off we go.
Yeah. And do you use frameworks to coach or other things, or do you have some basic tips on how to start a journey like this?
Yeah, what's important is, for me, what's always important is that in the beginning, you are clear on what are the goals or the expectations. I mean, or the KPIs. So that you know very well. Okay, this is where we want to go. Are we on the same wavelength? And you always keep these in mind. I mean, I am still very result-oriented. So always keep the goals in mind. And for me, it's important that when we go through our journey together, that we always check, okay, are we still in line with our goals? Because sometimes goals can change. That is possible. But then it's up to me also to challenge that a little bit. It's possible, but we have to really see. And so for me, it's very important that when you work with people, that you have that you during your journey together, that you keep a check on. Okay, are we still in line? Are we still going where we want to go? Even if we make some detours once in a while, but are we still aligned? And are we still happy together? Are you still happy with the work I'm doing, and vice versa? Am I still happy with how you are advancing in our journey? Hold each other accountable, because we're partners. I'm not better than my client, nor is he or she. So we're partners. So we keep each other also kind of accountable.
And I think it's important. And my experience when I work with coaches, or when people would like to start working with a coach, they might not really know when does relation start or when does it end. I mean, I think it should be clear for everybody that you have a coach in a certain moment to increase a skill, to move forward, but then at a certain moment you will grow to and choose different paths, and that's perfectly fine. And I think
it's even sorry.
No, I was going to say this may be something what holds people back to look for a coach, to find the right coach, and to start with a coach.
Yeah, I think it's very important that to have a coach once in a while, maybe all the time, but it shouldn't be the same coach. That's very important. Yeah. I have different coaches and all kinds of coaches. And sometimes I have a very long history with one of my coaches. We've been working together for, I think, 8 years now or something. Okay. And sometimes there's another coach, and we work together for maybe 2-3 sessions, and that's fine. It's for me. I think it's very important that you, and it doesn't always have to be a coach, but also when you read books, or when you do an online training, or when you attend webinars or seminars, choose different people. Yeah. Once in a while, to have different opinions, because otherwise there is the risk that you become that you become kind of a copy of that coach, or that you are no longer open to different to different viewpoints, and that's very important. One coach can be a very good coach in one particular area, in one particular moment in time for you. And then maybe later on, it's time for another one. And maybe you can go back. But staying with the same coach the whole time, I don't think that is a good idea.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And when you decided to become that non-typical coach, and we spoke about the terrace earlier in France, did one influence the other to make certain decisions?
Well, I did not decide to become the not so typical business coach. It's just something that evolved organically, as I said. But for me, that's also something that I ask my clients is, what are your rules? What is important? What are your entrepreneurial rules, to say so? So what is important when you are working working on your business and in your business? Are there certain rules you want to go by? And for instance, a rule can be, I want to be able to work from the Provence. So I don't want to work full time in one place, for instance. That's a possible rule. So for everybody, I think it's also important to have a look at what are your rules. For some people say, yeah, well, I only want to work 2 days in a week. That's also maybe a special rule that fits for you. That fits you. Now, to come back to your question, we bought that house in 2019, the end of 2019, with the idea to go there once in a while during the holidays. But then the Corona started, and my business partner decided to stop the Business Boost event, so I had to continue on my own. And those three things actually were important because of the Corona and because of the end of Business Boost events. I had to I had to take the time and to reflect. Okay, what's my next step? And then I decided, okay, who am I? Who do I want to be now in the future? And what are my values? What are my talents? And also, what are my rules? And as we had that house in the Provence, and we were not able to go there because of the Corona lockdown period, I said, that's not what I want. I have that house and I want to go there and I want to work from there. And that was one of my rules. And so that was a major part there is a major part of my my business today is I want to be able to work from there.
Yeah.
And coaching it is possible to do that online these days.
Yeah. These days, and actually already quite a long time, and so for many people, COVID in that sense was an opportunity. It opened a whole bunch of new perspectives with the whole remote working, remote offering services. You can serve a broader market, people that you might not find initially, that might not have found you initially, and you mentioned already a couple of times that your feelings grew organically, the way you worked and so on. In my case, from moving from analytical to more a hard person again, I had a few tough moments in life, or moments that I really need to learn a lot. And I got to do other stuff, right? Like meditation, the food and so on. How did you start that journey? Because you came from a very highly rational, analytical family into the person. You give a lot, at the same time you're still pretty determined. You have your own vision. So how did you start your journey? Were there a few moments? Were there books, inspirations?
Well, I've always been very interested in personal growth. That's something that I've always liked. I like reading books, and I don't think that there was. Well, that's something that was important. But for instance, when I started my second company in personal branding, the first one, my first business was actually an easy one. Because we were two. Actually, my friend had already started that company a little bit beforehand, so I just had to join her. It was easy. I did not have to sell myself. It went like, it was fingers in the nose. But when I started my personal branding company, okay, it also grew when I was still working with the HR business also. But the thing that was really different for me was that suddenly I had to sell myself. Before I sold, to say so, between brackets, I sold the interim managers. Yeah. So that was safe. And now I had to sell myself. So for me, that was a turning point in my life. Because I suddenly became much more aware of myself and of my doubts, of my limiting beliefs, my fears. There was an interesting period, to say so. Having to sell yourself, that was quite a journey for me too. Even though I already had experience in sales and marketing and etc., it was quite a challenging period in my life, to name one.
Yeah, and you're confronted with yourself, with your ego, your uncertainties. They're really out in the open. When I sales coach people and when I coach people, I think it's important that we coach on the skill and not on the individual. And thinking that way also helped me in saying, okay, people, if they don't want to work with me, they don't reject me. They just reject, okay, what I have to offer right now is right now not for them. And this makes it much more easier for me to reach out and talk and start these conversations.
You shouldn't take it personally, of course not. And it's not a rejection either. It's just a fact. But that's mindset. I love working with mindset, and that's the personal growth mindset. It's always been something that I was interested in. And if you can read it in books and you can attend all those seminars, etc., on mindset. But when you experience it real life, and entrepreneurship is the best personal growth opportunity you can get. When you experience it real life, then it really becomes raw
and pure. Raw and pure.
Yeah, that's it. So it's not theoretical anymore. And I had different periods in my life when I was younger too. And I started working on mindset when I was 16 or something, because I used to be somebody with a very negative mindset. I was always complaining and blaming. I was a very unhappy person. Until one moment I had a big row with my father and my sister, the people I loved the most in the world. And it was a big row, and they told me, they said, yeah, you're a pain in the ass. Okay, they didn't say it like that, but that was the message. I mean, you're always complaining and it's no fun to be with you. And I wasn't even aware that I was complaining the whole time, that I was blaming everybody, that I was not feeling happy in my life. I wasn't really aware of that until that moment that they said, yeah, well, you're a pain in the ass. And that moment, I said, well, the people I love the most in my life, no way that they cannot love me. I have to do everything in my power for them to love me. And of course they loved me, but I decided then, at that moment, well, I'm not going to be that person that people do not like, they don't want to be with. And that's the moment that I decided I'm going to work on my mindset. I didn't know that it was mindset, of course. Back in the day, there were no books there. I didn't know anything about it. It was really all intuitive. But I made that decision. No effing way that I'm going to be a negative person that everybody hates. So at that day, I started working on my mindset. And I must say that I am today a person who is happy. I'm a happy person, and I am a positive person. And of course, I have my fears and doubts. I have lots of fears and doubts, and I have my struggles and my difficulties, etc. But I have learned to face them, to go through it with what I want to do, face the fear, do it anyway. If I have something that I want to achieve, I'm just gonna do it. And maybe I will fall, and maybe I'm going to make a fool of myself, and maybe I'm going to fail. But that's okay. I'm not going to die. What's the worst thing that can happen to me? And if I try something and it doesn't work out, okay, bad. My ego won't be happy, but we're still going to continue, and we go for it.
Yeah, and this is fascinating that you make that conscious decision. And for me as well, it shows your mind can set itself somewhere, and then you actually go there, you become there. And this is really the power of thought and the power of saying things to yourself. I've had similar experiences, And when you're in a negative vibe, you hear and see only the negative vibes around you. When you're in a positive mood, you see the positive things around you. So that's a very important lesson you have done at a very young age, ultimately. And when we look then at the girl of 16, the entrepreneur, where you have become the terrace in the Provence. If you look 12 months from now, do you see anything appearing already? How your services, your coaching, how it will, in what direction it will move?
Well, it's a very good question, because I'm also in a very pivotal moment in my life. I strongly feel the world is changing. I think everybody feels that. It's obvious.
Yeah.
We're going through a transformation. And for me, I'm also going through a transformation. I've been going through a transformation for 2 years already. So luckily, I have my resourcefulness and my resilience. So I'm able to still continue with my business and earn money, etc. But I feel that lots of things are going to change for me, for the people around me, the world. So for me, it's very difficult to say how will my life or our lives look like 12 months from now. I know that for me, it will not be the same. I'm really sure of that. I'm now today. I'm changing I'm transforming so rapidly that I am sure that if we have this podcast 12 months from now, it will be there. You will see a different Greet. But what I like to do, what I'm good at, is helping people grow as a person. On the different levels, whether it's with their business brand, but also spiritually, mentally, etc. And I'll keep on doing that. That's for sure. But I'm pretty sure that the person you're gonna meet in 12 months will not be the same.
Okay, well, let's look already a date, and then we set our next conversation on video in 12 months. And
I'm really curious to know. It's challenging, interesting times.
True. And maybe to finish this, you cannot push, you cannot force things. So on the one side, we are, I'm going to say, a bit passive, and you cannot really force things. At the same time, you can at least partly shape our future. Do you have a way to balance between this, one, that realization, two, that actively shaping?
So what's exactly your question? Can you repeat it again?
Yeah, so on the outside, you have the world that is changing, and we are going in a certain direction. And at the same time, if you want to make a decision, we cannot force a decision. We have to partly follow the trends where the world is moving into. You can also stand today where people want to be in 12 months. So it is a process. So how do you balance between nudging yourself in that direction that you feel you will go, and helping to influence the world that is changing in any ways?
That's a good question. That's actually a broad question. What is very important for me is every day is to be very, very aware, conscious of what I do and what my day will look like and how it is aligned with the things I want to achieve. So you don't waste time being busy. Yeah? Lots of people are busy being busy. So that's very important that I, every month, every week, every day, I really set I really have a very a clear view on, okay, this is where I want to go. These are my main power projects. I call them my power projects. are we in line? Are we setting the steps that we need to step to go forward? That's for my personal journey. That's what I do every day, every week, every month, and every year. Very clear focus. The other question for me was a little bit different, is how can we influence the world around us? For me, it's very important. My basic values are, for instance, respect, but also free speech and freedom. Mm-hmm. And these two last values, I think that we are in danger.
I agree.
That we are. I foresee a world where free speech and freedom are not as obvious as we thought it was. So in order for me to influence that, in order for me to prevent that dystopian world, if I can say that, is to speak. Speak up. Speak your truth. If something is not congruent with your values, with how you see the world or want to see the world, when you feel that things are not right, or when you feel that you or your family or your business or the world is in danger, speak.
Yeah, 100%
that's for me a
agree.
very important one. Yeah. So
it's
a little bit on.
The evil is not in the people that try to negatively change the world. It's in the people that don't speak up and let it change.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, that's it. If you see injustice and you keep silent, then you are a supporter of the tormentor and not the victim. So we have to be very careful not to look away and stay silent.
Yeah, I agree. I fully support you in this, and I'm the same. So we are slowly but surely coming to the end of the podcast, and we have so much more to cover, I think. So definitely that talk in 12 months will happen. And at the end of the podcast, I asked 3 questions to all my guests. So the first one is, if you look back, what would you have done differently?
Nothing.
Hey, that's a short answer. And
because you never know if you do things, and you never know what if you had done something differently, whether it would have been better. I think that everything that you should not have regrets. So no, I shouldn't. I wouldn't do anything differently. No.
Yeah.
Not that does not mean that I'm happy with everything that happened in my life, but everything happens for a reason. So no, nothing.
When you learn out of it, that's definitely might be the most important lessons that you make. Then, and if you look at, you give a lot. You have a lot of videos online. You share a lot of your knowledge. You give advice. At the same time, who inspires you? Podcast authors. Do you have a few names?
One of my favorites, if not the favorite, is Wayne Dyer. He passed away, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. But he's great. So his books, his early books are really great, and one of my favorites is Your Erroneous Zones. I think it's his first book or a second book. It's really it's a must read for everybody who wants to grow as in life and also mindset wise. His later books are more spiritual, so those are very intense too. So, and he's great, and he's funny too, or he was funny. So he's been a major example for me. But I read lots of books. There's only a couple of them behind my back here. But my favorite is Wayne Dyer. Another book I would really recommend is Loving What Is from Byron Katie. I wouldn't read the book if I were you. I would listen to it because it's lots of conversations. So it's easy, but it's also a very, very good one for when it comes to mindset. And then the last one I really like, and the third one is Spirit Means Business from Alan Cohen. It's also a very good one. It's good. It's a good one for entrepreneurs who are open to not to. Actually, what I like about that book is that it combines, like what I like, the balance, and you have to find the balance in everything. And he combines that spiritual side with the business side, and how can we combine those both worlds? Those are my 3 favorite books.
Great, thank you. 3 must-reads and listens for me. I'm gonna write the titles and the authors in the description. Thank you. And the last question, in your opinion and your experience, when is it time for people to pivot?
Whenever it feels like it, if you feel like you have to. It's not something that I don't think that you make a conscious decision. I'm going to pivot now. Yeah. Do you?
Well,
I think when the time's right, you're going to pivot, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, some people can make a conscious decision on we need to move in another direction. Maybe our startup runs out of money, or my lifestyle is destructive. But for example, in the case of a business, you have other experts that say, okay, keep on pushing. Maybe success is just around the corner. So if they would not have pivoted, they might have just had that breakthrough. So in that sense, again, for me, it's not just a straightforward question when you think about it like this.
Yes, it's okay. When do you have to change directions? When do you have to stop and give up? When's the... I don't like giving up. Giving up is not something that is in my dictionary. But sometimes I like to change courses a little bit. Is that a pivotal? Yeah, is that a pivot? I don't know. But when is the right time to make it to if it feels right? I mean, if it has to be, then it will be. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be.
Yeah, true. And at the same time, I'm a historian, so there I learned that the Industrial Revolution did not start whatever date they set, but it basically was an accumulation of little technological advances. And I also think a pivot is also an accumulation of experiences, knowledge that you gain, and it suddenly accumulates, and then you have that inflection points, and you take off in a certain direction. So yes, and it maybe then the feeling gives you, okay, I have to do it now. But at the same time, you cannot say, today I'm going to change if you don't have any experience or any knowledge around something specific. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, but I misunderstood on the question probably, but today is the day that I make a decision to change my life. But that does not mean that your life will change today. Yeah. No. And that's what I mean when the pivot. So okay, if I feel that this is not working, well then today I make the decision to do something different, which my relationship, my business, but I don't know. And then the next step is okay. And what is the first step that I will take in order to make the change that I want to see? And it starts with you.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, true. Great. Thank you very much, Greet. That was the last question. I really enjoyed the talk. It went very deep into the feeling, choosing the directions, your way of coaching. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
See each other in 12 months again.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you very much for having me, and good luck with everything that you do, and good luck with the podcast.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.